All right, what's going on, people? We are back once again. New stream. JV wins Conscious Approach. Thank you for joining us on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. We certainly appreciate it. Shouts out to all of the subscribers that we have been enticing to hit that button lately. Thank you for joining us along for the ride as we kick this logical content. We surely appreciate it. It has been a very enlightening and pleasurable experience to do this and make this content and engage with people who like what it is that we do over here in this little corner of the internet of ours. So, thank you very much. And with those pleasantries, of course, out of the way, we will go ahead and get things kicked off. First thing that we are going to do is talk about Miss Jay-Z, Sean Carter, a guy who musically, historically, I have always revered. Albeit as of late, not as much as when he was more, musically in his prime. But he's still really, really high up there for me, just historically, musically. But he's been a topic of conversation as of late because he was chopping it up with Kevin Hart, and he made comments about how he would not give a member of his family $4,800 because, the way that he was explaining it is money isn't free. Things don't work that way. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is, so on and so forth. So he's kind of catching flack for this because people are saying, bro, you're worth almost $1 billion. What's $4,800 to you? So they're focusing on his worth and not necessarily the point that he's making and why he chose to not do that. So, of course, we'll go ahead and provide a little context first, as we always like to do. So this is an excerpt from that interview. Obviously, it's not the whole thing, but here is Jay-Z explaining why he, money conversations with family and friends can be awkward and why he opted to not give somebody in his own family $4,800.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like you'll have people that where you come from, if you behave in a certain manner, it's not accustomed to where they are, right? Some people haven't evolved past 16. They still stuck in that place. You evolve every year. So that may be a threat to them. Subconsciously or consciously, can't that for funny because blah, blah, blah. You have to navigate that. You have cousins. You got to go home for Thanksgiving and people are talking to you like Kevin Hart. And you going home for solace. You want family.
You're going home for peace of mind.
You're going home for peace of mind.
And they don't give you that.
And your cousins in your grandma's living room saying, "Yo, man, I got this play. I want to. If you just give me, you know what I mean? 4,800, I could make you 2 million. You like it don't work like that, fam. You got to explain to him like life isn't like that. Money isn't free, and no one's giving out opportunities. If it sounds too good to be true, it's really. And then he like, oh, you don't believe in my dreams.
Where did
Por primera vez llega Rana Fest. Las mejores ofertas.
Adios mío.
Get out of here, Ad. Okay, so there you go. So like I said before, people are saying, bro, Jay-Z, what's up with that? You got like $1 billion. You can't shell out 4,800. And there was one post that I saw where it was a comparison type thing, where it was like saying, someone asking Jay-Z for $4,800 is like another person asking someone who makes $50K a year for a dime. And you saying no to giving that person a dime out of your $50K. So, there's all kinds of ancillary conversations going on about that. And, some people are kind of looking at Jay-Z suspect for that kind of ideology. But what do you make of that?
Rarely do I come to the defense of Jay-Z. Not really a fan of his. But he's got a point here. And these people that are upset are, just blowing smoke. I feel like they're part of the population that wants something for free. And the people that don't understand the principle that he was trying to get across there, because it was a bigger point than the money. And he tried to make the point that, life, your success financially is dependent upon the amount of work that you put in yourself. You know, you can collaborate with other people, but Jay-Z would have been more than happy to give him the 4,800 if he had already seen the plan already in motion. So much like how the people in the church say, you know, well, what's that? Prayers with no fruits or something like that. Works without something. I forgot what the saying was, but yeah, you gotta put in your work. And so if you put in your work towards whatever it is you want, you'll catch some breaks here or there that you never thought you saw coming. And that's the universe or God's way of saying that, hey, I saw you doing your thing. You know, here's a little bonus pack, you know, on your journey. So Jay-Z would have been more than happy to do that. I'm pretty sure he has done that for people that he already saw putting in the legwork. But from this story, it sounds like, hey, somebody just knows that he got it. He's not saying that the person's not passionate about whatever it is that they're doing, but they have yet to take the initiative and putting in the legwork to getting it done. So without that, are you going to magically get that when you got the money that you feel like you need already? Highly unlikely. So Jay-Z done gave money out before the people. That's why he has this mindset. And as far as that dime thing is concerned, please, if it's such a minuscule number, then that person should be able to get it on their own in the first place. So again, somebody saying that, oh, it's just a dime. And it's like, all right, well, just so we can all relate to how little a dime is. So if somebody was asking me for a dime, I'd be like, yeah, bro, why? Go get your own dime. It's a freaking dime. So go get it. So I'm not buying that point either. I just feel like this is poverty mindset that is complaining, and people that don't understand the bigger picture, you know, they can have it. So what about you, bro? How do you feel about Jay-Z and his stinginess towards his own blood?
Yeah, it goes as no surprise that I'm with you. And I wish that there was a way for us to be able to sort of see what the age range of the people who have an issue with this is, because I would be willing to gather that at least half the people who feel as though Jay-Z is in the wrong here are probably people from a younger generation, if I had to guess. So I think it's bigger than a poverty mindset. I think it's also a generational mindset of people just wanting things easy. And Jay-Z was born in 1969. So Jay-Z's in his 50s. Jay-Z is a part of what I see as the second to last brick and mortar generation. So there's his generation. He's in the same generation as my older brother and your older siblings. So my brother just turned 49. Shouts out, happy birthday, big bro.
Yeah.
And you know, and then there's the generation, that's the X generation. And then you have the generation after that, which is us, the millennials. We are the last brick and mortar generation in existence. Every generation that has come after ours has been the generations of instant gratification. And I think Jay-Z's ideology, when he is talking like this, at least in some part, comes from the fact that he comes from a brick and mortar, work yourself up by your bootstraps generation. And it's hard to relate that to some of these people out here who think that they can just, you know, start posting on Instagram every day and they can get rich. But that's what technology and the internet has done to a lot of these people out here in the world. It's given people an avenue to circumvent the system and find an easy way out. And 9 times out of 10, that easy way out does not exist. For every Instagram model who was able to break through and become successful, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands more that didn't make it through, but tried the same formula. But for whatever reason, they didn't work out, but that other one individual who was able to work it out did. And it's for no reason other than luck, as far as I can tell, because life simply, as Jay-Z said, does not work that way. But this is what the internet, in my opinion, has done. It has desensitized a society of people to the notion that work ethic is something that is still required in order to become successful. And when you get enough instances of people who are able to cheat their way through to the top, quite frankly, you're going to have more and more people looking at that as an example of something that they can replicate. And
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, you're going to fail. So, I look at a lot of this stuff like, they're like modeling, for example.
Mhm.
There are whole institutions that you have to spend a lot of money to go to in order to learn the art of modeling,
Mhm.
because it's an actual art form. It's a skill that you have to curate and develop in order to become successful at it. But you had a lot of these dusty, lazy chicks who might have a cute face and a nice body who started posting a lot of pics on Instagram,
Mhm.
and we started dubbing them models. Next thing you know, they're getting sponsorship dollars to sponsor some, products on their page, and they have thousands or hundreds of thousands, some of them even millions of followers, and now they've become successful. They figured out a loophole. They figured out a way to circumvent the system. Same thing with these fitness people. You
Mhm.
call them fitness influencers. They don't know shit about fitness. They don't have any. They don't have any certifications. They don't have any certificates. They didn't go to school for this stuff. They don't know anything about biochemistry, nutrition. They don't have any of these actual tent poles of education in order to qualify as a legit trainer. But they have a cute face and a nice body, and they post a bunch of pics and workout clothes at the gym. Next thing you know, they get a bunch of followers, mainly from simps, and now they're influencers and they're getting paid, and now they're successful. That is a formula that is largely unreplicatable. But a lot of us out here who are group thinkers look at that and say, let me replicate that and circumvent the system. I think Jay-Z is speaking to how unlikely it is that the majority of us can just cheat our way through to the top, and trust and believe that is a cheat code. That's like back in the day when we used to play Mortal Kombat,
Mhm.
and you know what I'm saying, there was a button code that you could mash in at the start screen, so that whenever you finish the fight, you can just tap one button and go into a fatality.
Mhm. Mhm.
Bro, no, we're not doing cheat codes out here. Like, you have to actually work and grind for this stuff.
Right.
And as more progressive as we become with this technology stuff, the fact will always remain that work ethic is the only tried and true way to actually become successful. So what Jay-Z is speaking to is actually a two-pronged thing here, in my opinion. It's a generational thing in which people are actively out here trying to cheat their way to success because they just want to start an Instagram or a TikTok, be as weird and outrageous and zany and kooky as possible so that they can get attention. And then they get rewarded for that by corporations. But again, the success rate of that is like maybe 5% on a scale of 100. It's not sustainable. And then there's also the money angle of people thinking, because I have this much money, you can come to me without a sound business plan, to your point, and think that because I just have it, I can simply give it to you without you giving me some kind of prospectus. What is your 5-year, 10-year, like, how are you going to unfold this so that it becomes something that reaps passive income for you? It's a sustainable business practice. I don't want to hear about your NFT plan. Like, don't ask me for $4,800 so that you can start investing in NFTs. That's not sustainable.
Right.
Don't ask me for $4,800 so that you can invest in crypto. Not sustainable. Don't ask me for $4,800 because your homeboy hit a lick on the stock market and you want to buy up these shares of some random stock because you think it's going to pop. I need to know if you have the ability to read these charts. Are you studying the markets? Do you understand this stuff? So that I can give this to you and know that it's going to actually reap a return. And a lot of people today really do want to circumvent the system. Instagram models are examples of circumvention. Fitness models are examples of circumvention. Social media influencers are examples of circumvention, and everyone is copying it. And it ain't sustainable. And I think because he comes from one of the final generations of brick and mortar, that is where he is speaking from what I can tell. Because you can say a lot, you can say what you want about his past, which is sketchy and questionable, things that he has done to contribute to the community in a negative way from some of the things that he did in his past, so on and so forth. And I'm saying this as a true Jay-Z fan. We can have all those conversations and we'd be right to do so. But at the end of the day, to question his work ethic would be foolish. And he is someone who has by hook or by crook, been able to put in a substantial amount of work in order to get to the point that he is, in order to get to the point in which he resides. And it's crazy that what we got going on today is the way that people in society has changed as a result of this technology movement and all of these apps that has people thinking that they can just hit a lick. You call it the flex phenomenon. Life has become all about what the next flex is. And if you can identify what that next flex is, to try and circumvent your way to the top. So I hear where he's coming from, and I agree as well. Even if I had it, if you don't have a way to express to me how this is going to be something that you can turn into a sustainable thing for the long run, perpetually, so that you have that revenue stream coming in forever, I'm not inclined to just kind of give money away. I might be rich, but I did not get rich because I felt as though it was okay for me to literally throw money away. Exactly. So I hear what he's saying. And to anyone who has a problem with that, I would say to check yourself, because if you're one of these people who are trying to get onto the internet and cheat your way to the top by, doing goofy videos, doing goofy trends in videos, lighting your face on fire, doing dumb shit for likes and clicks so that you can circumvent your way to the top, he's probably talking to you.
Yeah, I didn't consider that angle. I know for sure, as far as and that saying that I was trying to get out is faiths with no work is dead. And so so you can have the vision all you want, you got to put in work in order for you to get the blessing you would like to receive. And so these people want success. Now, you said something real key there when you were talking about Jay-Z and how he got to the position that he got to. And it was indeed by hook or by crook. Now, when you deal with that kind of moxie in a person, that's the person that makes it. So, like you were saying earlier about the person that does the goofy videos and trying to get trending and if they got enough moxie, they will make it by hook or by crook. And the people that we know that's at the top, they made it by those means. And so this society that we're dealing with consumerism, capitalism, and all that good jazz. All right, these corporations, they want the person that's willing to take it there. They have the it factor for corporations. And example, like you can watch old Soulja Boy interviews or whatever and hear him explain how he got on. And he would do all kinds of stuff. Like he would, like once the video's out or whatever, he'll just play the song over and over or whatever to drive up streams, to do whatever, or views at that time. And when you're dealing with somebody that's willing to say or do whatever to keep it going and keep it pushing, those are the people that get rewarded right now in this new age of entertainment. So Jay-Z, I mean, as you mentioned, he has a track record of him getting to where he's at. And there's a lot of people in his wake that would sit there and say, hey, man, he did whatever. But look where he got. And so I say that to say is that's the work ethic that you're implying. And I feel like some people have that it factor when it comes to whatever they're about to get into to do it that way. And this is just in the realm of, I'm talking about the realm of entertainment, but the same thing goes for people who are in the corporate ladder or whatever. And, if you want to be that whatever up top, that exec or whatever, you're going to have to step on some people, and there's going to be some people in your wake. So there's a mentality that comes with being that person that eventually reaches whatever level of success that person's trying to reach. But all of that, I would say, is more of a mentality. So that can speak to, the generational gap that you're speaking on. But for sure, there's a mentality that these people have. And I think it's a bit of an it factor that they won't stop. That, a regular person will go, all right, I made enough posts for today. Time to lay down. But that person that goes viral all the time, they are up all the time trying to go viral. That's a work ethic. And those are the people that reach that's that rare percentage that you're talking about, because it's a rare percentage of people that's willing to take it there.
Right. Exactly.
So so if there's a guy at some regular barbecue at some family function and he's sitting around, hey man, I got this plan, and then you talking to the guy and he don't have that it factor, why the hell would I give you any of my money? You just gonna, buy some J's or some, you know what I'm saying? Put some spinners on your Hyundai. What you up to? So yeah, real recognize real in a situation, and Jay-Z is real in the context of, hey, he knows what it takes to make business work. And he would have been all ears if somebody came to him in an eye-to-eye level and said, hey, I got this going on. How do you feel about it? He may even still say no to the money, but he at least give me some advice.
Yeah.
So so real recognize real in these situations. He didn't feel like this guy was real. Who cares if it's his family, man? Who cares? Oh, and who cares how much money it is? All right. Because once you get in your position of money, where you're actually, and this is why I think this people are, just a poverty mindset. And it ain't like I got it. I'm just saying, it's just like once you actually have some money and then people start coming out the woodwork to ask you for it, you're gonna ask them in some roundabout way of how are you gonna earn this? I'm not just gonna give this to you because we're blood related. So yeah, man, I think it's all of these components. It's probably some other floating stuff around there missing. You guys can leave that in the comment section. But as far as this is concerned, man, yeah, I think this is Jay-Z. He has that it factor. And for anybody that's doing anything, you don't have to trample people. You don't have to leave people in your wake, so to speak. But there does have to be an internal factor where you kick it into another gear within yourself, where you do have that work ethic to make it in whatever field you're trying to make it in. And trust and believe, if you tap into that, then success will soon follow. So faith with no works are dead. How about that?
Yeah. I think that the part about what was I gonna say? I guess that disparity of people who are able to do this and people who don't, to me, is less about it factor and more about your mentality when it comes to actual work. I think that the way that people look at things now is, how can I become rich and successful without putting in work? That's what the thought process is.
I see what you're saying.
And they look at a lot of these tactics that get employed and have a very low success rate percentage wise, but they look at it as something that can be replicated. And I've gotten to the point where I see it pretty often. And just one real small example. Nowadays, when I go to my gym and I'm in there enough that I know that this has become a regular occurrence in society. It is not unusual for me to go to my gym on any day that I choose to go and work out and see several people in the gym with tripods set up, recording themselves working out. Now, why are you doing that? You're doing that because you look at that as an avenue for you to become successful. And all you're doing is what you're doing is basically just living life. You're doing what you would have been doing even if you didn't look at that as an opportunity, but you see it as something that you might be able to replicate. So it's like, let me try this so that I can put myself on. Let me see how many followers that I can get. If I can get popping in this internet game enough by doing something as mundane as working out, then I might be able to get myself to the top and become successful. That to me isn't a work ethic. It's a way that you have identified a wrinkle that you can exploit in order to circumvent your way to the top. That's how I look at that. Because if it was really about you working out, you would become a certified personal trainer. You would go to school for these things. You would go to school for biochemistry. You'd go to school for nutrition. You would go to school for personal training and fitness. You're not doing any of that. You're just showing up at the gym in your sexy workout clothes, recording yourself doing your workouts. That to me is an example of an attempt at circumvention. You're trying to cheat your way to success. And what the internet has done is it has implied that is a viable solution to making it in life. That's what's happened. And it's not, because the conversion rate on that is very low. To your point, the people who are able to mold that into something that works are those small percentage of people who literally will stop at nothing to make that happen for themselves. And right, right. And that is where the work ethic part of it kicks in.
Right.
The majority of these people don't have that.
I
To
see
me, the
what you're
work ethic is the it factor.
saying.
That's
Mhm.
what the it factor is the work. Most people don't have that. But
Right.
what they have are two sets of eyes, which they can use to see, oh, they made it just by posting gym pics. Let me try to do that too. It ain't gonna work, bro or ma'am. It's not that easy. Most people out here do not have that unwavering drive to be able to make that happen. It's a very small percentage. And I would argue that if you're trying to circumvent your way to the top via those means, you can do nothing but leave people in your wake because you're not actually learning anything. You're just using yourself, your looks and your body and your existence in order to get to the top. And that to me is not sustainable. And I think that that's what Jay-Z is speaking towards.
Yeah, them gym videos be wild, bruh. Like they be
And
popping ass harder
yeah,
than strippers, bruh.
And that's only one example. Like that's the one that I can think of off the top of my head. But there's plenty of other examples that we can look towards of an attempt at circumvention. But yeah, that's one of the biggest ones that I see it every day. And mind you, I don't go to some fancy gym. I go to a regular franchise gym, and I see it. Several people in there each time I go, tripod set up. And they're not working out covered up. I'll put it that way. So
yeah,
nothing is goofy, but
hey man,
it is
2023, baby. Hey, 24, what you got for us? Hell no.
That's out to all y'all fitness models out there, quote unquote.
Influencers. Hell no.
So Donald Glover is apparently not against AI. He thinks that it can be something that is beneficial to the world, to society. He doesn't look at it as the existential threat that a lot of other people are looking at it as. So Donald Glover recently did an interview with Complex, and they asked him about his thoughts on AI. And so he had this to share. Now they of course asked him about music too. He had some thoughts on rap and hip hop, but what we centered on is what his thoughts on artificial intelligence are. So this from Hot New Hip Hop, it says Donald Glover on artificial intelligence being used for societal good. Actor and writer Donald Glover is not completely against the use of artificial intelligence. In a recent interview with Complex, Glover shared his perspective on the subject. His viewpoint on AI is one of cautious optimism. When asked about how he feels about the rise of artificial intelligence, especially in entertainment and art, Glover responded with a thoughtful answer. I think there's a good reason to be cautious, he said, but at the same time, the scary stuff sells and people aren't focused on how AI can actually help us solve these problems that we have. I get it. It is scary on some level. He continued by acknowledging that although it can be scary to embrace, the use of AI can actually be beneficial. But I'm like, you could band together and do something really cool with it, he continued, like something really new. And you can do all that stuff faster. AI is not going to take your job. The person who's really good at AI is going to take your job. All these things come with cautionary stuff. And I think there should be legislation, although I doubt that will happen. Usually it's in reaction. And I think what's scary to people is that we're heading toward the precipice of an existential crisis where we only get one chance to do it the right way. I think that's what people are afraid of. And so he goes on to address how it can fix societal problems. Well, how about we just aim it towards things that we actually want, as opposed to things that we don't need and things that just seem like a fun idea. So obviously all relevant links will be posted in the description of this video, so you can click on those to look at this interview or read those comments in their entirety. But Donald Glover does not have the same doom and gloom disposition that some people have when it comes to AI. What say you about Glover's comments there?
I mean, I get what he's saying. I don't think anybody, for the most part, disagree with that angle of what he's saying. Because who has a problem with the benefits of AI? I know I don't. I don't have a problem with that. You know, so okay, but let's look at the other side of the coin, please. And because, well, it's all one coin, and if it's going to be in your possession, you're going to have to know both sides of it. And so, yeah, I could look at all the great things that AI can do, and as far as the medical field, as far as scientific breakthroughs. Like, there's so many things that could be beneficial through AI technology, but unfortunately, all right, we're not dealing with people who want to look out for society. We're looking for people who are trying to make money and, get the bottom line, and that's just more cash. So these institutions are going to have these things they're taking people's jobs now. I don't even know what he's talking. All right, he must be a little out of touch. So as far as him going, oh yeah, I feel like all of this is toting some type of corporate line. To be honest, if you want more work, you just have to say the right things when the camera is in your face. And if I was a part of this industry that is, by all means, welcoming AI with open arms, you'd better be one of the people that work good with AI, like he said. So, so AI is not going to take your job. The person that's good at what they do, at work with, or whatever he said. Yeah. So he wants to be the person that, hey, I'm cool. I'll work with this stuff. What y'all want me to do? And so that's more or less his approach, but that's everybody can't fit in that bucket. And the reason that AI is being constructed and used in the workforce so much is to not hire more laborers. So some people are going to have to take L's. So I understand, the cream rises to the top, get on your grind and make sure you don't get caught in a wave. But hey, man, there's a lot of talented people right now that are unemployed because, well, machine learning for the last 10 years that they thought it was harmless has finally took their jobs. So I can't say that I completely agree with him. I mean, who's against the benefits of AI? But me personally can't deal with it. It's kind of like looking at the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, modern medicine, if used correctly, would be phenomenal. I'm not against, taking a pill if it's really going to help somebody, but a lot of these things are constructed, in my opinion, in faulty ways. And that's why they got to give you these rundowns on these commercials to tell you basically don't even take this. And so, yeah, I'm against more or less the pharmaceutical industry, but push come to shove, whoop, I might have to take some pharmaceuticals, so I'm not against what it can be. All right. I'm against what it has become. So the same thing with this AI stuff. So he can be cautiously optimistic, but I would just say that it's one thing to be optimistic and it's another thing to be cautiously optimistic. And by you being so cautious about this, that means, or it sounds like, he didn't say these words, but that's basically what it is. And so for somebody to be cautiously optimistic, they're basically looking at the doom and gloom first and decided to take a look at the bright side of things. But I'm telling you right now, don't get caught up in that bright side of things because you could get swept up by the dark side. So how do you feel about this, man? I don't jive with it. But do you agree with Mr. Glover that, hey, man, maybe we need to pump the brakes on all this AI talk and get along with it?
I don't. And his comments remind me of the original Jurassic Park movie. From, the first one, 1993.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the beginning before all hell breaks loose. And John Hammond, the proprietor of Jurassic Park, he's invited all of these people to come to the island to tour it and whatnot. And so they're sitting around the table discussing the merit of doing such a thing, the idea of Jurassic Park. And Ian Malcolm, the character played by Jeff Goldblum, one of my all-time favorite scenes in a movie, he's discussing how, you guys are, doing all of this stuff and you think it's so cool, but it's frightening to me how your hubris towards nature isn't even being taken into account. And his point basically was your scientists spent so much time trying to figure out whether they could do something that they didn't stop to think about whether they should do it. And that's kind of how I feel about AI. I like you. I hear what Glover is saying from his perspective. So he, as an artist who is probably from an entertainment standpoint at or near the top of artistry, his position can't be compromised by AI because I don't envision a future in which any kind of technology, although I could be wrong, at this point, I don't envision a future in which there is any sort of artificial technology that can replicate what he does with entertainment. I don't see an AI who can write the scripts that he writes for his Atlanta show. I don't see that happening. Maybe it's possible, but I don't see it. I watched that show. I thought that it was pretty intriguing and intelligent stuff. The day that there is an AI that can come in and do that is the day that this whole thing goes to shit. But at this point, I don't know that that's something that is in the foreseeable future. And so it's easy for him to say, let's be cautiously optimistic. I don't think he's in a position where he can be supplanted by this stuff. But as we have acknowledged on this channel many times before, a lot of these societal observations that we make here are rooted in economics. And when you look at the economics of it, 90% of the population is at risk of being exploited by AI, whether you like it or not. You can look at any current study being done on the erosion of jobs. And some of the most simplest jobs in the world are basically almost non-existent. They are going extinct, such as cashiering. Cashiering is literally eroding right before our very eyes because of technology. Now, you might say AI has nothing to do with that. That's just technology. But the forms of technology that are being developed to get rid of cashiers have some sort of intelligence aspect to them, which allows them to operate at a point that is efficient enough to make a lot of these, corporations decide, let's slash some of these labor costs and get rid of these cashiers. We don't need them anymore. Now, at a higher level, we are going to start seeing this happening in more of the professional landscape. We don't know what AI is going to do to architects. There's probably going to be some sort of AI technology that gets developed that can do what architects do faster. So all of those 3D models that architects come up with, to sort of lay the foundation for the next project in some city, or whatever, civil engineers are doing, building bridges and roadways and all of this kind of stuff. I definitely see something in the future in which there is some sort of artificial type of intelligence that can replace what those individuals do because it's deemed to be more efficient and cost effective.
Yep.
Cost effective for who? For the company, not cost effective for the guy getting laid off because he's being replaced by this machine. So Glover, as someone who is probably going to be the last to be replaced by artificial intelligence in terms of what it is that he can do, can speak so freely with this. But what about the other 90% of the world who is literally at risk of being, replaced by these various machinations? So I just don't agree with what he's saying because he's looking at it from an ivory towered, rosy glassed entertainment perspective that most of the population is not advantageous enough to look at it from. Again, and what you pointed out is very accurate. The spirit of the intention of something is usually above board, but it always gets sort of reconstructed by humans into something that does nothing but make more money, but has lots of unintended consequences that are never considered on the front end. I said it on a video before, and I'll say it here again as one very small example. Facebook and Zuckerberg and Google and all of these people coming up with these apps did not foresee the unintended consequences of social media. They truly felt as though they were creating something that was good for the world. But what are some of the unintended consequences of the iPhone, for example? Now you got people who have low attention spans and can't put their phone down for 10 minutes just to drive from one location to the next. And so they're literally texting and not looking at the road and getting into wrecks and killing people on the road. That is an unintended consequences of this technology. Now you're looking at it saying iPhone, great for the world, and I'm inclined to agree with you for the most part. But there are always unintended consequences. You like your car insurance getting jacked up by how many amounts of money because of the influx and the increase of vehicular accidents and homicides as a result of people who are driving while distracted because they are using this technology in situations where they shouldn't be, such as driving. I don't like that. I don't think most people in the world are okay with that. But that's an example of an unintended consequence. And just like the iPhone and apps and texting and all of this other stuff that has yielded a lot of unintended consequences in the world, AI is also going to yield its fair share of unintended consequences. And it's only a matter of time before we know for sure what those things are. But I can tell you for a fact, one of them is going to be the erosion of people who have shit to do. When you get rid of these jobs and you get rid of these ways of making money and earning a livelihood because they are being supplanted, commandeered by technology, what are people going to do at that point? People need shit to do, and no one's thinking of that because we're just thinking about the gains that can be had from it. And so cautious optimism is one way to put it. I look at it as cautious cynicism for me personally. And I don't necessarily agree with everything Glover had to say there. Again, I kind of think he's looking at it from his perspective of someone who, at least from this point in time, is protected from this stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what all of these people out there in Hollywood were fighting over with these strikes. They see it coming and they refuse to allow it to happen to them. So they can strike and force these movie studios and these companies to give them a deal which allows them to be protected from this stuff. 90% of the population, especially the people who aren't unionized, don't have the capability to protect themselves in that way. And they're the people who are at risk. And those are the people that people like Glover don't think about when they make comments like that.
Yeah, that's a factual. And I also say that these companies, man, like especially like with artists or whatever, because I've seen some AI stuff where it's like dead people and all this other stuff, and they making dead people sing songs, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? So these companies, I'm sure there's going to be something that's going on either now or in the future with these people contracts where they really sign over their whole likeness. And if you do that, they don't even really need you alive. But this isn't about killing them or anything. This is just that they got you. Like that's what I saw. I saw freaking a 2K commercial, and they just got Kobe just doing stuff, and I'm like, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, well, the NBA owns his likeness. So they can have Kobe do anything. And I'm like, I don't like that. But I'm telling you right now, there's going to be this thing where, these companies are going to just be AIing things to the max. Because they already tried with the hologram freaking concerts. But they're going to just take it to another level where they're going to have Michael Jackson, featuring goddamn what's that boy name? Jack Harlow. Or Jake Harlow, whatever his name is. Yeah, they're gonna do some abominations like that. You know what I'm saying? Prince and Sexy Red.
No.
Why not? Now they're not gonna do this like tomorrow, but you see what I'm saying? They're gonna in the future. Prince is gonna be collaborating with some ass clown. You already know it, and it's gonna be an abomination. It's gross because they already had Tupac on stage just jigabooing with no shirt on, thug life, and I'm like, and there's people that's like, oh, this is so realistic. I'm like, what world do y'all live in, man? Man, wake up, people. Not people here at the Conscious Approach, because y'all landed on this page, so y'all must clearly know what's going on about something. All right. I'm talking about the rest of these people out here that's like, hey, embracing AI with not even a cautious optimism like Mr. Glover here. They're just like on some, hey man, give me the latest AI Drake song, please. Give it to me right now. And so yeah, man, this is trash. I don't jive with any of this, but of course, this is going to happen. All right, so it's not just America pushing this, it's the world pushing AI. This is seen as the new cutting edge thing to be on top of. So yeah, this is not going anywhere. And so where the people want to go, I don't know, maybe start looting and rioting like they're doing now. All right, maybe one too many Purge movies that were given to the masses about how to act in times of crisis. Man, I'm telling you, man, Hollywood with they little goofy movies and stuff like that, and now people acting like it's really the Purge out there in certain locations. You know, they're not killing people, but they're taking their one night of craziness and looting and rioting to the max. And they feel like, hey, mob mentality, let's go get it. Hey, them people don't have jobs for real. They can't. So just imagine when there's really a population of people that's really out of work. And as I mentioned earlier, there's talented people in the unemployment pool right now. I mean, these are good people. They can do good work, but they're not needed at places because they're too expensive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, this is the way of the world, and it ain't going nowhere. So yeah, just like you said, bro, you know what I'm saying? 90% of the world, you know what I'm saying, getting caught up in the waves of this. You know, what's going to happen with all of these? Who knows? But I tell you one thing, everybody that's here listening, you know, one thing that I could agree with Glover is, all right, just don't sit down and take this. So if they're going to be using this, you might want to know how to use this and use it to your advantage, because it's not going anywhere, man. That's like you trying to rebel against the internet before it got popping for real. Yeah. You know? And it's like, hey, look, you can have your integrity all you want, but there's nothing wrong with the internet itself. So use it the right way. So similar with the AI thing, kind of what his thing is, use it the right way. So, but don't get caught up in the wave, man. But it's going to happen. It's going to take people jobs. So that's the part about it where he's neglecting. But the part I do agree with is get on your job and get with it or get rolled on. I'm speaking of myself too. I mean,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm included in that. AI is what like land was in the 1600s all the way through like Reconstruction. You just got to get on the right side of it. You need to get your land. AI now is what, the railroad system was during Reconstruction, where it's like, hey, man, if you want to get on the right side of this, you better own some land so that you can build a railway and get on top of that. All the way through industrialism with the Rockefellers. History repeats itself all the time. So AI is just the latest example of the thing that is taking place, that if you're on the wrong side of it, you're going to be left out.
Right.
And then, after industrialization, the next big one after that was probably the internet. And now that we are pretty much post-internet, now we're looking at this thing. So that's all it is. Every, couple hundred years or so, or now it actually rapidly speeds up because of technology. These things used to happen maybe every couple hundred years. Now they're happening like every other generation. They're happening every other decade now, where there's the new thing that you kind of have to be on the right side of. Silicon Valley, app creation, and all of that kind of stuff into AI, all of that stuff. Yeah, learning, becoming educated on that so that you can learn how to use it, so that you can essentially make yourself, future proof, is what I call it, future proof. So yeah, it's easier said than done. And I do think that most of the population will be left in its wake. That's kind of my cynical take on it. That's kind of what I think, unfortunately.
Hey man, Skynet is real, bro.
It is real. Yeah. Shouts out to Glover for the content, though. We appreciate that. Must be nice to be him, because he'll probably be amongst the last people to get replaced by this stuff, from what I can tell. So, okay, speaking of Drake, we had to talk about this. Joe Budden gave a critique of Drake's latest album, For All the Dogs, and he is currently being castrated for what he had to say. The most of what I am seeing on the interwebs is killing Joe Budden. So for anyone who does not know, Joe Budden gave his opinion on his show about how he felt about Drake's album. And basically what he said was he feels as though Drake is not making age appropriate rap. He's rapping for children and kids, and he doesn't like it because he feels like Drake needs to, rap according to his age and where he's at in that phase of his life, so on and so forth. But do not let me speak for Joe Budden. I will allow him to speak for himself. So what I want to do is I want to play a short snippet of what Joe Budden had to say first. And then I want to show what Drake's response to him was, because I do think that it's worth it for us to provide context for that too. So this says Joe Budden on Drake's For All the Dogs. He rapping for the children. Drake's For All the Dogs is obviously sparking a lot of conversation, whether around the album itself or around Drizzy as an artist. While many fans seem very satisfied, including some typical doubters, it's not all peaches and cream. For example, Joe Budden recently shared his thoughts on the project on the Joe Budden podcast, multiple times, in fact, to emphasize the passion. During his remarks, though, it's not like he completely dragged the Toronto superstar through the mud entirely. One comment that diehards might be surprised by is that the former Everyday Struggle host labeled the Sixth God as the golden child. Still, many of his issues seem to stem from Drake's collaborators, who he's associating himself with, and what he's rapping about. A standout quote from his breakdown is the following. I miss the Drake that was rapping for the rappers. Joe Budden suggested that he shouldn't be getting down with streamers like Kai Cenat and rapping for the children. Instead, the media commentator and MC believes that the 36-year-old should stick to topics and people more within his age group. So that's the breakdown. And then here is a snippet of what Joe Budden talked about on his show.
This is like Yachty rapping. This is like he rapping for the children. And that's dog, I had to look up how old this was when I finished listening to the album. Mm-hmm. You are 36. Your birthday is in 20 days. I Googled that too. You will be 37 years old. Get the away from some of these younger niggas and stop in these 25-year-olds. I'm listening to the album. Yo, you're a 37-year-old billionaire. I get it that you appeal to the world. Loving about Cole, like my shit is happening in reverse. Like with Cole, he used to rap about kid shit. I'm a grown ass, like real Jersey City. I want to hear how you lost your virginity. And then he started to grow up. Mm-hmm. And then the rapping sounded like an adult rapping. I'm want to hear adult Drake rapping for adult people.
No.
All right, so that's what Drake had to. I mean, that's what Joe Budden had to say about the Drake album. And then this was Drake's scathing response to what Joe Budden had to say. And like I said before, a lot of what I'm seeing on the internet is people siding with Drake on this one and going after Joe Budden. So this is what Drake put on. This looks like Instagram. It says, "You have failed at music. You left it behind to do what you are doing in this clip because this is let me start over. You have failed at music. You left it behind to do what you are doing in this clip because this is what actually pays your bills. For any artist watching this, just remember you are watching a failure give their opinion on his idea of a recipe for success. A quitter give their opinion on how to achieve longevity. You switch careers because the things that pop into your brain had you broke, living check to check, and the raps you write have 450 men showing up to your shows in dusty Anichi jeans to screw up their face to Mood Music 29 and pretend you are the GOAT. Damn. Please, to any artist that's doing what they feel is right, don't let these opinions affect your mindset after the fact. This guy is the poster child of frustration and surrendering. You retired and we never hung up your jersey and we don't even remember your number. Damn. We know you for doing this. You withdrew from rap not because you accomplished all you need to, it's because it wasn't working for you. I never want anybody in the generations to think that the whole everybody is entitled to their opinion is a real thing. This is a man protecting his own self-hate and the fact I did and continue to do everything he wanted to do for himself. If you need it put in simpler terms, I own a 670. If you need it put in simpler terms, I own a 767. He owns a modest house in the 973 and flies first class on special occasions. So that was at the end, basically, because no Drake response is complete without a flex on how much richer he is than the person he's talking about. So yeah, Drake went in, and I've seen all of these memes and videos like on World Star and other places of people, looking at Joe Budden's album sales and certain things that he said in the past and just kind of going in on the guy. But Drake in his very Drake way, that was what he had to say. But what did you think about this whole situation? Budden's critique, Drake's response, or anything in between? What do you make of this situation?
Well, first of all, I would like to agree, man. That was a scathing reply to Sir Joe. But unfortunately, I agree with Mr. Budden on this one. Surprise, surprise. All right. We had a episode a while back dealing with T-Pain and him saying that Drake makes simp music. Man, I gave this for all of my dogs a listen. A lot of skipping. All right, I skipped a lot. I think that was one of my fastest listens, honestly. Remember back, bro, in the 90s, bro, the infomercials where you can speed read. I said then I sped listen to that. I said, oh, I heard that before. Whoop. I can tell you what that whole album about. 1, 2, 3, ain't about nothing. So yeah, man. So I agree with Mr. Joe here. From what I heard from it. Now I'm not gonna sit down and listen to every track because that wasn't intended for me. So as I'm sitting there listening to it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree with Joe again. Yeah, because this isn't just on this album that he was rapping like a kid and talking kiddie stuff. It's kids bop. And so, and to each their own, man. People out there, they like Yachty and stuff like that. I don't like none of this new weird stuff. I get the Yachty appeal, but he's not good. I don't even know what his appeal is musically.
I don't either.
And so the thing is with Yachty, him having such an influence on this project, that's just Drake again tapping into the younger generation and whatever. He's trying to move units. So I agree with Joe in the aspect that yeah, it's Drake. He's gonna make whatever it is to get the most consumption possible. All right. And when you listen to what these young people listen to, it's not really high quality. So Drake is doing his take on young people music. And I felt like he's been doing that for the last, few albums, to be honest. It's
several. Yes.
Yeah. And it's not even they don't even hit. They like some of these things, even when the beat hard and the flow's going, it's like, what are you talking about, Drake? And the problem is that just like how his response was, he can write bars like that or have somebody else write them for him. And then but his whole thing is he knows how to give you a good song. He knows how to give you bars. And so for him to not do that, to intentionally water it down for consumption, yeah, it may piss off an artist like Joe, but Joe already has a vendetta against some weird obsession with Drake already. So because again, we can talk about this stuff because, well, it's whatever. But let's appear because y'all are both rappers in a game and entertainers and stuff. And most rappers do not spend time, even if they have the same opinions as Joe, they don't come out of their mouth to talk about Drake as much as this guy does. So that's the part about it that comes off a little bit obsessious. But be that as it may, Drake is not surprising me here about any of his behaviors, his kids bop raps, his everything. And I was listening around, I was looking around the internet and just seeing other people's take on this. And as you mentioned, yeah, there's people out there chewing out Budden. There's a lot of people that agree with Budden too, but I'm seeing more favor of Drake because he ethered him in that comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he did.
Joe was spitting facts, and so was Drake. He didn't say one lie in that thing. And so yeah, that was a hell of a comment, man. I wish that was in a song. It might be coming soon. So how you feel about this, man? This whole dynamic, man. You know, Kids Bop, Joe Budden, For All of My Dogs, Drake's, Yachty. What's going on, man? How you feel?
Yeah, it would be Drake
Mm.
who would put me in a position to have to defend Joe Budden. Like
exactly.
This is the world that, yeah, like this is so crazy, right? I'm with Joe Budden. I'm with Joe Budden. So I have two problems here. The first problem really I have two critiques. My first critique is the problem that I have with the way Joe Budden's comments are being received.
Mm-hmm.
So a while back we talked about Faison Love and how he went at Aries Spears because Aries Spears had critiques about Lizzo in her career.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what Faison Love did was ignore the points that Aries Spears was trying to make and say Aries Spears shouldn't have an opinion because he sucks. Right? That was basically what Faison Love was doing. And at the time that we did that video, I said I'm with Aries Spears here. And what I don't like about what Faison is doing is he's not addressing any of the core points. He's just instituting a redirect to make the conversation about something else. And we see that all the time in sports too. And I mentioned Charles Barkley a lot with this. Charles Barkley, who like Joe Budden, is unafraid to be honest when it comes to critiques of other basketball players. Joe Budden is unafraid to be honest when it comes to critiques of other rappers. A lot of these sensitive as NBA players want to take Charles Barkley and attempt to disqualify his opinions because he didn't win championships, because he wasn't as good as them. So essentially what these guys are saying is, Charles Barkley, you shouldn't have an opinion because you didn't win rings or you weren't as good as me. Well, that's a redirect. How about we address the point Barkley's making?
Right.
Do you shoot poorly from the free throw line? Yes or no? You do. Do you shoot a poor percentage from the three-point line and you shoot too much because you're not that good of a shooter? Yes or no? Do you need to work on your game? Do you need to work on your handle? Do you need to put better effort in on defense? Those are critiques Barkley's making about your game. Regardless of Barkley as an analyst or his career, is what he's saying valid? Yes or no? Don't give me this Jedi mind trick redirect to try and fool me into making the conversation about something else because you're sensitive, because you know he's right. Is what he's saying correct? Yes or no? So we see it in sports all the time. We saw it with Faison when it came to that Lizzo Aries Spears conversation. And that's what we're seeing here with this Joe Budden thing. People want to talk about Joe Budden's rap career or how much he sold or how popular he was, as if the lack thereof provides us with a reason to disqualify his opinion. His opinion isn't wholly incorrect. Now, you can disagree with his opinion if you want, but don't tell me he does not have a right to his opinion. Yes, he does. He 100% does. Drake can miss me with that BS because, yes, Joe Budden does have a right to his opinion, Drake. You just don't like it. You can take your millions of dollars and your 767 and continue to enjoy your life the way you do, despite what Joe Budden had to say about this very Drake album of yours. Why do you care? So I don't like that. And what I'm seeing a lot of these Drake apologists and these Drake acolytes on the internet in the media do is they're sitting around coming up with these goofy videos and these memes, using that to contest Joe Budden's opinions as if that should somehow invalidate what he had to say. What he had to say was very valid. If you don't like it, just agree to disagree and move on. Now, to what Joe Budden had to say about Drake in terms of the critique, in my opinion, Joe Budden is right. But to come to somewhat try to explain it, not necessarily to come to Drake's defense, but to sort of try to explain it, hip hop as a genre is music for kids.
Bingo.
So I hear what Budden is saying, but you can apply that same standard to 95% of all current relevant rappers.
Bingo.
It ain't just Drake. They're all rapping for kids because hip hop is kids music. Like the last time that I was able to just kind of spend money however I feel like it without having to deal with where I'm going to allocate my finances towards, without having to deal with bills, without having to deal with financial obligations. The last time that I was able to just do whatever I want with money and not consider those things, which is what these rappers talk about, was when I was a kid. The last time that I was able to do whatever I want and not worry about the consequences of my behavior and my actions, which is what these rappers rap about, was when I was a kid. The last time that I was able to, have sex, free sex, no consequences, not worry about, dealing with all of these different women and doing whatever I want with women, was when I was a kid. As an adult, there are consequences and repercussions for actions and behaviors. You can't just be out here doing whatever you want. Rap is the genre of music that encourages and preaches and glorifies doing whatever you want. Doing whatever you want is the lifestyle that is retrofitted for children. Adults can't just do whatever they want. So in essence, rap is music for kids. It's music for kids. So Drake is only making the music that is befitting of the genre that he comes from. Shit for children. So you can't blame him. You have to blame the hip hop infrastructure. Drake is just a byproduct of that. And he happens to be somebody who is so good and talented at what he does that he can make enough of music that is appealing within that context. Now, Drake is not music for me. It don't appeal to me. He don't make music for me. I don't like it. I made it through about 5 or 6 songs of this thing and I had to stop it because I couldn't stand it. It is not for me. And he has done this the last several albums that he has put out. This is not just the latest one. He does this all the time. I don't have to actually listen, even though I did listen to this one, or at least I'm in the process of it. Don't know if I'll make it to the end. But even if I didn't listen to it, I do not have to really listen to it to know what I'm going to get, which is I'm so much better and cooler and more superior to you because I'm richer than you. Or your girl wants me, so be careful because I'll smash your chick. Your wife wants me, so I'll smash your wife. Your baby mama wants me, so I'll smash your baby mama. And all of these thoughts out here trying to get a bag off of me by sleeping with me. Go to some other dude because I'm not going to line your bank account with money just because we had sex. That's Drake's entire musical persona right there in a nutshell. I don't need to listen to the album to know that that's what I'm going to get. And the fact that this thing is like 20-something songs, you expect me to spend over an hour of my life listening to this stuff? I will pass. Not to mention the fact that he's got all of this crud on there that, once again, ain't for me. Lil Yachty is not for me. Travis Scott is not for me. Sexy Red is not for me. That shit is for children. So yes, Drake makes kids music because hip hop is largely a kids genre. Yes. It is. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I don't know what to tell you, bro. You can just go ahead and kick rocks and keep listening to this stuff. I'm just reporting the news here. So don't get mad at me and shoot the messenger. Hip hop ages poorly. Of every genre of music in existence, hip hop is the one that is aging the poorest, and it is losing its cultural impact because it is the genre of music that is the most hyper obsessed with ageism and staying within a certain age demographic. It refuses to evolve. And for all of these old head rappers talking about how the genre, about how good and how healthy it is and how great it is, and this is just an example of its evolution, I'm looking at y'all because I don't see none of the old rappers still putting out music. Like if hip hop was aging well, we'd see more Nas's. There would be more people like Nas who are still actively putting out projects every year, staying in the collective consciousness of the listenership by putting out music on a frequent basis. I don't see that. Snoop, no, I don't hear new music from him all that often. Every once in a while. Jay-Z, where are you at? Nas is the only one. Where are the old head rappers? Where's Outkast, UGK? Where's Bun B? Where are all of these older rappers who, if the genre was aging well, they would still be as active as these younger people? But they're not. Even artists I don't care for, like Fat Joe. I don't like Fat Joe, but Fat Joe is almost 50. Where are you at, Fat Joe? Where are all of these old head rappers? This genre is aging in an atrocious manner.
Mhm.
And that is why it is losing its cultural impact. It is eroding right before our very eyes. That's my personal opinion. And the only people keeping it alive are kids, because the music is being made for kids, because the sensibility inherent in the music is that which befits the lifestyle of a child. Because most of the human beings in the world who can just live life free of consequences are children. Once you become an adult, there are things to consider. You can't spend your money however you feel like it. You can't date whoever you feel like it. You can't smash whoever you feel like it. You can't just do whatever you want. You can't. Rap music is do whatever you want music. So I hear what Budden is saying, but Drake is only looking at the landscape and saying, you know, I'm Drizzy. Let me just do what works. And he's good enough at what he does. He can do it at a high enough level that he can continue to stay on top and be the it guy, the go-to person. But the rest of this stuff is for kids. So you know, thank you, Drake. I appreciate that. I don't necessarily always find myself in defense of Joe Budden, but you managed to cross it. You've managed to, you know, have me cross a new milestone where I am now here defending Joe Budden. I don't like the way people are trying to invalidate his very valid opinion just because he didn't have the career that Drake had. And moreover, he is right. But the reason why he is right is because this stuff is kids' music, plain and simple.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more, bro. And 1000%. And I brought this up before, but I had a professor, man. Shout out Dr. Denard, man. Super awesome dude. And it was one day in class, and he was just telling us that how rap music is immature and it preaches immaturity and irresponsibility. So that's basically what you were saying, that it's kids' music. And that's why it is so ageist, as you mentioned, because it's why it's always the old heads. Get out the game, old man. I don't hear that nowhere else. So with that being said, Drake understanding the genre, as you mentioned, where they say, get out the game, old head, you know. So what would those people embrace? They would embrace a sound from an old head. They would appreciate young artists on this old heads album. All these little cues that he's playing in order to stay in the mind's eye of the youth and get a new generation of people to be Drake fans. All right. The old people that love Drake will still sit around and listen to it and still tell you how it's popping, you know, with the most cringiest smile. Yeah, I love it. No, you do not. You watch 3 weeks, it'll grow on you. Why y'all do this to yourselves? If I listen to anything 3 weeks straight, I'm gonna love that dumb shit. So why would you sit there and subject yourself to something that sonically you don't want to hear again? There's 20-something songs on there. You don't even like 5. And I'm talking to the Drake fans. You don't even like 5 of them. Stop lying to yourself. You know, shake your ass for Drake and then shake your ass for Sexy Red. All right, because that's what Sexy Red is. Hey, shake your ass for Drake. And so what you supposed to do, bro? You in a ride bumping, you know, Drake and Sexy Red. You shaking your ass for Drake? I'm sorry. You're shaking your ass for Sexy Red. Give me a break, bro. Don't sit here and tell me that you sit down and you love it. You don't. So stop trying to, you know, cape for this, man, because this is trash and you know it. Unless you're 13-year-old and you love Fortnite still. You know, by then this shit slaps. All right. You know, whatever these kids say nowadays. But you are 1000% correct with the genre being out of order. All right. I always say I want my rappers to have age appropriate music. I saw another thing where somebody was like, hey man, if you over the age of 40 and you're still rapping, you need to just hang it up. No, he doesn't, bro.
I saw that too.
Yeah, it's an art form. You can't tell a man to stop painting at age 40. So don't tell a rapper to stop rapping, because if he's rapping like Drake, give it up, bro. But if you're an adult and you 40 years old, but you rapping grown man stuff because you done seen life in a certain perspective and you want to put that on wax for anybody that's been going through it or might go through it, you know, you putting your grown man raps on that will stick. And so I agree. And so, but one of the people that I love that does make age appropriate music is Bun B. So whenever you do hear a Bun B verse or whatever, Andre 3000 or Nas or something like that, Method Man, Ghostface, all right, I can keep Raekwon. All those dudes do age appropriate rap. Yeah, I'm 40 plus and I rap like it. I'm talking about topics such as that. All right. But if any of these clowns get up and tell me how they in a Bugatti and how they done flipped a brick and how they got a trick doing tricks and whatever, right? I don't want to hear none of that trash. All right. But that's when you do need to hang it up as an old person. But rap is such a new phenomenon that we really didn't have time nor space to have an old head group. Now we have an old head group that got started in the 90s and now they're of age to be old heads. We should not just, wipe those people clean off the face of the earth just because they hit a certain age. So that's the ageism in rap that I can't stand. But the reason that it's like that is because it's predicated towards irresponsibility. That has nothing to do with the artist, but everything but the industries that want that to be the themes. And all the time we sit and talk about how the industry has its influence on what the artists are talking about and what the latest trends are. And their thing is to make sure that it's about irresponsibility. And if I sit down and I listen to country music, trust and believe, it's only about kickbacks and a girl hair in the breeze, but there's no substance to that anymore either. And that's why I told you, like, everybody across the board does not like what's going on with music. All right. But specifically in hip hop, nah, man, I really feel like the industries have their hands on this because they're the puppet masters. They're the ones that selecting the radio plays. They're the ones who telling you your favorite artist. And all of these clowns are just sitting here talking about immature and irresponsibilities. All right. So Drake being a part of the wave. Hey, I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to give you what you want. What you want? Crappier production. Here you go. Hey, you want Sexy Red? Here she goes. Hey, I even smashed it too. Hey, all this, So Drake is just a modern day wizard for these corporations that want to sit here and mind control people. Sorry, I said that and I'm going there. And so for all of my dogs with the glowing red eyes, you can sit there and have it, Mr. Drake. But I agree with Mr. Budden here. This clown over here, Drake, not a fan of this stuff. But hey, what can you do, man? It is what it is. But yeah, I'm with you, bro. I'm agreeing with Budden. Probably like once out of 10, man. And Drake did it for us. You know what I mean?
I am with you that this is something like the industry's influence on the art itself is having a profound impact across the board, across all genres.
Yep.
But hip hop is killing itself at an accelerated rate, in my opinion, because of its hyper fixation on staying young.
Yes.
Like they have adopted this toxic mentality and it shows through the music, and it's disgusting. Like I was talking to my sister last week. She asked me, I walked into the house, she asked me if I listened to the Drake. I was like, no, I'm probably not going to, because I can't stand his music. And this was before we decided to do this as a topic, when I said, okay, I'll try to listen to as much as I can for context. And she was like, okay, well, I'll play you, because she knows how I feel about this. So she was like, I'm gonna play you one song. And I swear to you, I before she even played the song, I said he's probably gonna talk to me about how some dude's chick was looking at him and it's like, I smashed your chick and I did it better than you, and now she's just talking about you behind your back. and that was literally, those were the lyrics of the song. I'm not making that up. The song was, he smashed some other guy's chick on purpose, and because he knew the chick wanted him, and she knew that he's better than her, better than the man that she's already with. And so it's like, bro, you can't spend your money the way I can. You can't do with her the things that I could, blah, blah, blah.
What?
But that's what Drake does. 50% of all Drake albums is what I will do with your girl or to your girl that you can't. It's a part of his flex. The point is, I called that before she even hit play on the song. Like it's become that predictable. I'm telling you, man, this stuff is eroding. And I don't know. I'm with Budden. I don't like the redirect, and I don't think that his critique is invalid. I think that it's very valid. And at the most, if you don't agree with it, then just move on. But don't try to invalidate this guy's opinion because you like Drake and he didn't. And so you're going to invalidate it by redirecting it into something that it's not about. It ain't about Joe Budden's career. It's about what he said. But this is all music for kids, all of it. And the last thing that I'll say about us now being able to have artists who are old enough to make age appropriate music, I hear that, but they just need to be more active. And one of the issues that I have with this and why I think that this problem is continuing to persist is because a lot of the older artists are not active enough, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, put out an album a year or get on a whole bunch of mixtapes or features, but you got to be active, like be in the conscious of the listenership, like put music out, do something. And that's why I appreciate Nas so much because, and I hope now that he's put out the Magic 3 that it doesn't mean that he's going to go on a really long hiatus. Because between the King's Disease and the Magic stuff that he was doing with Hit Boy, he was putting out a lot of stuff on a pretty consistent basis. And I appreciated that because number one, it's Nas and he's better than pretty much everybody rapping now, except for like maybe 5 people still. I don't care how old he is. And on top of that, he is actually talented. So he knows how to be good, make songs that sound good, that I want to listen to, that also happen to be age appropriate. And he's unafraid to do that because he's not beholden to the industry. Drake is beholden to the industry. He is. I don't care what anybody says. Drake is an industry guy. I don't care if you like him. That's your problem. You can reconcile your feelings with that however much you like him. But he is an industry rapper, period. He's an industry rapper, and he does make music for kids because this rap shit is music for kids. So it is what it is. He can miss me with his response to Joe Budden. I don't like that. And I don't like all of these people who are coming at Joe Budden because he had a point and it was valid. And it is what it is. So, yeah, y'all enjoy all of that for all of the dogs. Garbage. Y'all enjoy all of that. Let me know how it goes. I'm pretty sure the hip hop websites and the podcast will give them all. We'll give the album 5 out of 5s and 10 out of 10s. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, it's the hottest thing in the streets.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Highly anticipated for all the dogs. Jeez. So 50 Cent has a message for Puff, and that message is he better get his lawyers ready.
Oh, snap.
So apparently, his connection to this whole Tupac situation is being exposed, or I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But this whole Keith D situation, and him talking now after him being arrested, and Puff's name is coming up because of his involvement with the Tupac situation all these years later. And Tupac basically has a message for Puff, which is this guy better lawyer up. So check this out.
50 Cent has told Diddy to lawyer up over Tupac's death.
Who brought up the amount of $1 million?
Shit, he did.
Puffy did?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Keefe D, the man recently arrested for Tupac's murder, claiming Diddy's involvement in the killing in a clip from the 2015 documentary Murder Rap.
Wasn't you?
No, it wasn't me. I shit. Hey, but 50. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
The footage has resurfaced after Keefe D's arrest on September 29th and has seemingly caught the eye of 50 Cent, who posted, LOL, time to lawyer up. Diddy has, of course, rubbished claims of his involvement in Tupac's death in the past, calling them a lie in 2008 and nonsense in 2016. Keefe D will appear in court on Thursday, October 19th.
Hell no.
Dun, dun, dun. So I don't know, man. That kind of sounds like 50 Cent knows something that maybe the public will or will not learn at some point in the near future. That's pretty interesting. Never really cared to sink my teeth too much into the whole Tupac Biggie thing. There's all types of conspiracies out there and whatnot, and people can think whatever they want. I tend to think that Tupac was just an early casualty of industry politics and corporatocracy. And because the truth is shrouded in mystery, people can run wild with their theories on gangs and cops and Biggie and Puff and all of this other stuff. But if this comes to light that Puff did have something to do with it, I guess that means that all of his NDA parties and his annual Labor Day white parties are no longer on the table, at least for the foreseeable future. So I guess Holly Weird will have to consult someone else for their annual libations and celebrations if Puff goes out of the game. So maybe 50 Cent has a point. Maybe he does need to lawyer up.
I think he definitely needs to lawyer up. He has to, because because I did hear that his name, Diddy's name is coming up again, and more recent allegations more than from a old recording. And yeah, man, I had went down some crazy Tupac assassination rabbit holes, man. I forgot. I think the best one was the one with the cop. I think that was the best one. I was like, hey, I like this one. I don't know what's going on. But I like this one. This one got a lot of shit going on with it. So yeah, I went down a few rabbit holes, man. But it's kind of like with a lot of things, man. I just said I don't even think they even want to solve this. I was surprised to hear that there was an arrest made. I'm surprised it was this dude, but I'm not surprised it was this dude. And to hear that, Diddy's name is coming up, because it was kind of one of those things where, like a crime show, where you're sitting there watching a crime show, and then, Law and Order, whatever, and there's a dead body in the river, and then, first thing you do is you start looking at the players, who could the suspect be, and it kind of always just boiled down to Diddy. I mean, it's secretly the streets already knew, so there was still the people out there that was reserving, the death for other people, or he could still be alive in Cuba or Bahamas, wherever they said he was at. Yeah. And so there was still people holding on to that. But I think more or less, kind of most people, at least the people that I knew, kind of felt like Diddy had some hand to play in this. I also feel like he had a hand to play in Biggie's death. And I feel like you said, it was industry politics and other weird stuff going on. I felt like Diddy was the player in that, because he's an industry man. Mm-hmm. And I also heard that we were talking about earlier when we was talking about, about hook or by crook. Diddy's he's on full crook mode. All right. So I've heard all kinds of stories about him, his mentality, how he views things, and things are just a come up for him. And he look at people as just opportunities. As wild talented as Biggie was, I honestly felt like he was just another bad boy artist to him. Honestly, And so that's how he looks at people. That's how he looks at the world. So for him to be involved in this, I'm not surprised. But even if your name come up in allegations, bro, you better go consult a lawyer. So, so 50 is right. He better consult somebody about this. But me personally, allegedly, I don't know, I might be tripping, but I already kind of felt like he was already guilty of it. How about you, man? How do you feel about this whole weird stuff, man? Keefy D, low key snitching on PD.
Yeah, Puff has always come off to me as a real unscrupulous kind of guy.
Absolutely.
And
no scruples, this dude.
No whatsoever. and it's like, how long did he own these artists? And it's interesting timing. Like, I'm not really a tinfoil hat person, but now in recent history, he's decided that he wants to give ownership of the masters to all of his artists. And so he's signing this stuff over now after 20, 30 years of him still owning these people. But how long was he in position to just own so many people,
right,
where they couldn't do anything or make a move in terms of what levities they had available to them with respect to their music career without it passing his safeguards first. So it's those types of things that speak to me of an individual who, like we mentioned in the first topic with Jay-Z, doesn't see a problem with owning people, trampling over people, doing whatever he needs to do to get to where he needs to go. So long as whatever actions he carries out, he is able to cover up effectively enough so as to not get caught. So if it turns out via this situation with Keefe D that Puff's involvement is in fact able to be verified, it'll just be chickens coming home to roost. I mean, I really do look at the guy as like what was the name of that? It was one of these movies, one of these hood classics, like Vampire in Brooklyn or one of these movies. And Puff is that guy. Puff is the guy who gets out of the limousine, you know, with candy in his hand.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got something for you, but you need to sign on this dotted line and I'll give you whatever you want in life. And, you know, next thing you know, you're like enslaved to him for life and that kind of thing. That's kind of how I always looked at him. Just someone to whom you don't want to be tethered to. You know, if you are someone who is a subordinate of his from a career standpoint, at least. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it came to light that there was some involvement with him because he just looks like somebody who will do whatever it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, he's a do whatever it takes kind of guy. And, you know, he's generationally wealthy in part because of that. But in doing so, you can't get, and you've mentioned this before, it's hard to imagine anyone who can reach that level of success without doing some things that only an individual who is devoid of scruples is comfortable doing. So interesting stuff. So it'll be funny. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and you know, and 50, he gets a kick out of anything Diddy. He'll expose him for anything. If Diddy do something suspect on something, you know, 50 gonna call it out. You know, 50 hates Diddy just as much as I do, I want to say. So I got a good chuckle out of this. I do feel like it's chicken coming home to roost, man. If he did have any involvement in this, man, I wish justice on this situation. But you know, when you that far up in the game, bro, you really white collar, even if you do something like that. So he'll get off something light, I bet. This is probably just, hey, y'all know I did it, but somehow I got some type of exoneration from this somehow, some way, because whatever. But
yeah,
you know, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? I beat this case, but y'all beat me in a civil suit. Whoops. You know what I'm saying? yeah, that's the type of game he on. So at least the people can get some solace if this actually comes out that, you know what I'm saying, we know who actually did it. So yeah, man. So lawyer up, Diddy Puff, brother love.
For real. I hope you got a few more of them love albums in the holster.
Them damn love parties.
Yeah, for real. You gonna need them. Oh, all right. So here we go with Gilbert Arenas, man. Gilbert Arenas thinks that the 90s NBA is overrated. So NBA commentary is largely structured around two schools of thought. Older generations would say things were better during the 90s and late 80s and into the 90s and the Michael Jordan era with those teams and those players. And the new generation, new school of thought, who says it's better now with the players we have now, the teams we have now, and the LeBron and stuff and all this other stuff. So two schools of thought here. Clearly, Gilbert Arenas is on the new school of thought because he thinks that 90s NBA is overrated. So they were talking about this on a recent episode of Gil's Arena, which is the name of Gilbert Arenas' podcast. So here is an excerpt of that, courtesy of TikTok. This is Gilbert Arenas talking about how he thinks 90s players were bad, 90s NBA was bad, it was overrated, and those guys were trash.
I can't stand that guy.
The 90s? Oh, so then are we on the 90s now?
He on the 90s. You know, he can't wait. He said the 90s is overrated.
We got enough big, dude.
Okay. So does that, are you discrediting Michael?
What is defense at? Y'all talking about defense? This is defensive juggernauts and stuff like. Where it at? They couldn't stop nobody. There was no crossovers like that. They couldn't move left or right for nothing. They fouled hard, but they didn't stop nobody from driving. I'm gonna just throw it out there. Maybe the defense looked good because there was no offensive players. Then only had 1.5 scores. Everybody else was defensive players, so obviously they couldn't shoot. Nobody even gonna say that they changed the 3-point line. They went from 24 feet to 22 because they couldn't shoot the ball. They couldn't. No, y'all don't want to say that. Y'all couldn't shoot the ball for nothing, so they changed. They had to push it. They had to push it in. Jordan's shooting percentage went up 10% because of that new line.
That's crazy.
30% to 40%, just because of the new line.
Gilbert, man.
Oh man. What do you think about that? Are you with Gil? Are you with Gil here? Is 90s NBA overrated? Were they trashed?
No, dude. That was honestly the best generation of basketball, in my opinion. The 90s was it. That was the apex. So for him to say that it's overrated, that they couldn't play D, that they couldn't shoot, I can't go for that. Now, granted, I do think the guys now are good shooters, open, they can shoot, man. The game has evolved in ways. I will agree with that, but when it came to actually like basketball, like how the game should be played, I felt like the 90s literally embodied it. I keep hearing a lot of stats about the 90s about how, scoring went down, as Gil mentioned, the shooting percentages went down, but I think that was just competitive balance. And I think what ended up happening with the league, with all these rules, they wanted offense. They didn't want slugfest. They didn't want 89, 87. They didn't want that anymore. They wanted 109, to 115. They want 127 to 115. Like they want big scoring games. That's what's exciting. And so, the NBA has been making adjustments however they could to give more benefits to the offense. But, same thing goes for the NFL with their rule changes to make the game easier for the offense. That doesn't mean, man. So I don't know. It might be young person growing up, nostalgia that I grew up watching these dudes ball. And I was like, this is out of this world. Like what these dudes are doing. They're like, this is crazy. And I still watch some of that stuff, and it's a little janky. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like looking at those black and white things where you see them do all their stuff, and it's like, oh, they're saying this is the best point guard of all time. This dude here, this guy,
Bob Cousy.
Yeah, this guy that's pounding it. Like you telling me that? So I'm looking at some of this footage, and yeah, man, because like when AI did the crossover, bro, that was revolutionary. That had everybody going, hey man, I could cross somebody up, and so it's the game has evolved. But I would argue, man, 90s baseball, the best. 90s basketball, the best. 90s football, NFL, the best. Like honestly, I just feel like the 90s was that sweet spot of old people and newishness that just hit. It just hit. And so whenever people refer to greats, legends, and stuff in any of these sports, they all go to the 90s. So I don't know if this is some type of recency bias or what, but the 90s was it. It was the apex, in my opinion. So I hear his angles when it comes to all this technical stuff, dribbling, shooting, and all this other stuff. But we can see these dudes with all of these skills, but there's a lacking of substance. And I felt like there was real team basketball going on back there, real unity, real defense, real dudes really going at it. You know what I'm saying? And nowadays with finesse basketball and Euro stepping into a foul, that's not basketball, bro. That's not skill either. Sorry, dude. I'm gonna have to say the most overrated generation of basketball is honestly the latter 2000s. So this last generation of people that they say is lit, in 2010 plus or whatever, I will argue that this is the most overrated. So that's my opinion. How about you, man? You agree with Brother Gil? I see. Is that a white man can't jump shirt? Like, how you feel about this, man? What's going on,
man? So the comments like this are just, what annoys me about this kind of stuff is what Gilbert Arenas should have done, and of course, at this point, I'm just kind of saying what I think should have been said here, right? I think what he should have said is not 90s basketball is overrated because they couldn't blah 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 blah. Just say 90s basketball was overrated because they couldn't shoot as much. Because that's what these conversations are really about. Like any of these generational conversations about the NBA or basketball in general, they code it with defense and skill and talent, but really it's just about shooting. They think people like Gilbert Arenas and other people who think that basketball is at its apex or at the best that it's ever been now, they feel that way because shooting is at its best now. This is all about shooting the ball because that's what basketball has become. Basketball is literally a basketball success in NBA basketball, at least, is an arms race to see who can make the most threes.
Yes.
So if you can have a roster put together of people who are threats from the 3-point line, whichever team has the most players who can be held, who you need to account for from the perimeter, particularly from the 3-point line, those are the teams that get favored to go the furthest and to win championships. So I don't think this has anything to do with defense or talent or teams. This is just about shooting. Gilbert Arenas thinks the NBA is better now because there's more players who are good at shooting threes. And most of these people out here who feel that way about the league, who think that the league is the best that it's ever been now, they can say all of that other BS that they want. This is about shooting threes. Y'all like what's going on now, and you think that the league is better now because there's more people who can shoot threes. And back in the day, there were less players who were prolific from the 3-point line. There is a conflation going on in basketball, unfortunately, of 3-pointers and skill. So what people basically think now is the better a shooter you are, the better you are at playing basketball. So they'll look at a guy like Duncan Robinson, who can shoot the lights out, but can't play defense, can't dribble, and can't do anything inside of 18 feet. On a floater, he can't lay the ball up. He can't finish in contact. He can't finish at the rim, but he can hit threes. So Duncan Robinson is a better basketball player than somebody who can do all of that stuff, but isn't as good at shooting threes. So that's all this is NBA basketball currently in the modern day. Skill has been conflated with shooting. It's all about shooting
and low-key dribbling.
Yeah. Dribbling is a part of it, but I think it's more so about shooting the threes. It's just an arms race for 3-point shooting. That's what it is now. So it's perceived as better because everyone wants the 3-point shooting. And I personally think that the answer is somewhere in the middle. Maybe you don't want maybe you don't want the lack of shooting and the increased defensive intensity and all of that kind of stuff from the 90s generation. But I also don't want what I'm seeing in the NBA now, which is a 3-on-1 fast break, and no one's taking the 100% guaranteed points, but they're fanning out to the 3-point line and missing the shot. Basically foregoing guaranteed points in lieu of a chance at making a three.
The analytics.
I don't like that either. Like it's a 3-on-1. You guys have a guaranteed point, and you're gonna shoot a corner three instead of getting the dunk or the layup.
The analytics, baby.
Right, analytics. So I think that the truth in this matter is probably somewhere in the middle. How about we get back to the defensive intensity and the overall development of talent on it from an individual standpoint, but also work on the 3-point shooting and the dribble sidestep weirdo step back moves that everyone's doing now in order to generate points. We can have all of it, but I don't think that you can just summarily dismiss the 90s as completely overrated, because at least in the 90s, I could guarantee that guys were going to play in every game unless they were legitimately injured.
Thank you.
And at least I knew that my teams were going to be constructed from a roster standpoint in such a way that you were going to be able to get rim protection and some defense and some scoring and some shooting instead of what's going on now, which is basically put 5 people on the court at the same time who can all shoot.
Yep.
Meanwhile, everybody's playing matador defense and doing sidestep, step back threes. And like I said, on a fast break, instead of taking the guaranteed point, you're heading out to the 3-point line and shooting a lower percentage shot. I don't give a shit what the analytics say. A dunk is 100%. A 3 is not 100%. Even if you're Curry, I've watched Warriors games. Newsflash, even if Curry is open, the chances that he's going to make that 3 are not as high as the chances of him making a layup right at the rim if there's no one around him. So the truth is somewhere in the middle. This shit with Gilbert Arenas is just coded language for y'all couldn't shoot back then and everybody can shoot now. That's all this is.
Yeah. Well said, dude. I ain't think about that, but yeah, I agree with that. I also think they like I mentioned, the dribble, man, because of the handles and all this and that, and the drills they do in AAU. Technically speaking, they're more skilled. People are faster nowadays through the other things and all. There's a lot of things that component wise, ancillary, you could sit there and look at it and go, this is more impressive than the people in the 90s, and I will 1000% agree. But when I look at that product on the court and I see dudes pulling up from half court, pulling up from the logo, pulling up from, you know what I'm saying? And it's just a shooting competition on each side.
Yeah.
And whoever's hitting that night wins. I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? And so, but no, I used to watch a good inside out game, a good strategy game back in the 90s. It was a lot more going on. I felt it was more of a game within a game. So, yeah, teach their own, man. But to call it overrated, nah. I'm not agreeing.
Yeah, I mean, that's his opinion. I just disagree.
Absolutely.
I disagree. The most that I'll give you is that maybe there's the truth is somewhere in the middle. Maybe it wasn't as good back then because it was less aesthetically pleasing because of the lack of prolific shooting. But how is that? I feel like it's just the extreme opposite now of an overindulgence in 3-point shooting to the point where it's just a brick fest. And like you said, whichever team makes more 3, I don't need to look at any box score to know who won any NBA game now. All I have to do is see which team made more 3s. Whichever team made more 3s is the team that won the game.
I don't care what. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and I don't even care what the collective percentage shooting wise for the team is. It's just who made more net, and that's the team that won the game. And if you want to say that that's great basketball, I guess you're entitled to your opinion. But I'm just basically looking at, like you said, 5-on-5 3-point shooting contests. Oftentimes is what it looks like.
Basically, and you used to be able to look at stuff like turnovers, offensive rebounds. You can look at the game script. But like you said, if you see 21 made 3s versus 7, the 21 made 3s won. Game over. Crazy.
Yeah. Shouts out to Gills Arena, man. We ain't with you on this one.
Yeah, not this time, dog.
Yeah. Good show, though.
Yeah.
And lastly, we are going to get into comments made by, speaking of hip hop veterans, if we go back to 2 topics ago or 3 topics ago, Juicy J. Juicy J basically put out a video saying that rap is becoming less profitable, it's losing money. He says that hip hop sales are down 40%. So we, over the last few weeks on the channel, have had several music topics. Tonight we did it again. We had a few music topics, right? So we have been talking about this for a while. And here's what Juicy J had to say. Sales are down 40% in rap music. Check this out.
Trippy, man. Trippy. Juice.
I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I'm being real. Rap music is down 40% this year. I'm gonna say it again. Rap music is down 40%. Check the charts, check the math. I don't make the rules.
I do not make the rules. It's down 40%. What are we as rappers, producers, composers, etc. gonna do about this shit? Because it's down 40% this year. Check the charts. Do your research. This is a fact. Let's have a conversation. What are we gonna do as rappers, producers, composers, songwriters, engineers? What are we gonna do, man? Rap is down 40%, man. We gotta figure some shit out. We gotta sit down and talk. Let's have a meeting. Let's meet up somewhere. Let's have a big ass fucking meeting. And let's meet up somewhere. Let's talk about this shit, how we can turn this shit around. Because this is how we eat. This is how we make money. We make money. I make money. We all make money. Rappers, we make money off rap. Shows, publishing. All right. This is how we make money. This is how we eat. This is how we take care of our families. It's down fucking 40%, nigga. Real shit. But I'm willing, and I hope you willing, to let's figure out something to keep this motherfucking money train rolling.
Nah, big dog. It's not happening. Shout out to Juicy, man. Conflicted with him. He definitely makes a genre of music that's in the ratchet category. But he kind of grew on me back in, I don't know, 2010, like 2009-ish. I just started like, I guess I'm not mad at this guy. So I just look at him as like an old head, you know, a wild uncle, like Trick Daddy kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's not happening, Juice. It's just not happening. It's going to go down another 40% next year. There's no incentive to listen to any of this stuff. I mean, hell, we just talked about Drake and how garbage disposal that is. All right. And that's the top in the game. It don't get no higher than that. And as we mentioned, so Drake plays to the level of his competition, if you will. All right. And he decided that this Kids Bop album is what the kids want. And guess what, bro? They're eating it up. So if the best rapper in the game is doing the best kind of rap and it's garbage, then what's the incentive for people to really go out and support this stuff? It's not going to happen. The young people, they're in a different mindset anyway. So we're the ones, remember last brick and mortar. So we were the last, you know, goofballs to go run out to Target or whatever to buy the album on the first week. So it's the discount. Yeah. By the way, bro, when I used to work at Target, bro, I had the most CDs ever, bro. I was getting CDs every week because I was getting it every week for their low price plus my discount, crushing the game. My deck was loaded. And so, but yeah, we're the last generation to do that. And that speaks to the thing we had talked about before, where I was like, hey, man, these young people, they don't understand the culture of going to shows and stuff like that. Like, that's not where they're at. And so sorry, Juice, like the people that actually support you, like your real fans, like he's got his little whatevers, but his real fans, his core fans, man, like we don't really go to shows like that no more, bro. Like a lot of us in our older age, you know what I'm saying? And the young people, you know, they're not really going to check for you. So if he's headlined with some young people, that's cool. So you get your cash that way. But these young people aren't supporting these young people either. So yeah, man, he's found himself in quite a conundrum, man. You know, he has the opposite effect of AI coming and take his job. It's just a situation of, hey, man, the industry itself is just going down the drain. And the money that you're used to making from these shows and living your life, I heard that frustration. You know, I never see Juicy J come out his mouth ever. He stays in the shadows, makes his cash, go home. But the money ain't there, apparently. You know, he can't buy his lean, or he can't buy his trippy sticks or whatever he be smoking nowadays. And he can't afford that, like not how he used to. And he want that flashback. Hey, let's figure this out, y'all. No, bro, y'all aren't. It's only going to get worse unless there's some magical renaissance, which I think will happen at some point in music in general. that there's going to be a renaissance period at some point. We're just not in it anytime soon, I don't think. I think this corporate stranglehold is going nuts. So hopefully within the next decade or so, there's like a renaissance in any kind of genre, bro. Give me rock or something. Give me something that's just giving me quality stuff that's having its own renaissance, and I'll probably jump over there, bro. But how do you feel about Juicy J's comments, man? Do you agree? It's the industry's down 40%. How do you feel?
Yeah, here's my solution to Juicy J. You need to get on the phone with every rapper who is over the age of 40, and y'all need to come to some sort of agreement. Y'all need to start a, like the equivalent of the Players Association in the NBA or the Players Union in the NFL. Rappers over 40. I kind of want to say over 35, but there's even weirdo stuff. I'm just gonna say over 40 because if over 35 is Drake and people like that.
Yeah.
So y'all need to create some sort of players union for rappers over the age of 40 to create some sort of collective bargaining agreement with the music industry, which stipulates that so long as all of the rappers over the age of 40 agree to put out one album minimum per year, that the music industry will, in effect, promote these pieces of work. And they can come up with the logistics on how often they promote it and whatnot. But that's the only solution. Hip hop is eroding. I've said that constantly, and I'll continue to say it. It's losing its cultural impact at a rapid rate. It is eroding. And part of the reason why it is eroding is because it is hyper obsessed and fixated on appealing to people ages 10 to 21. Okay. As so long as hip hop is obsessed with this youth movement, it will continue to erode, because contrary to what you might think, the majority of the people in the world are indeed over the age of 30. So you can continue to appeal to this you can continue to obsess over this very small age demographic of people, but the majority of the rest of the world, people who are 30 plus, that's the majority of the people, and they live in the real world, and people in the real world want to hear actual music.
Right.
So you can continue to ride the coattails of Drake and Travis Scott and Uzi and Yachty and the rest of these vagina rappers. Y'all can continue to ride those coattails if you want. Lil Baby, Da Baby, My Baby, Yo Baby, the rest.
Right, bro. What the fuck?
Y'all can continue to ride the coattails of this garbage if you want to, but the majority of the world that lives in the real world, they'll come back and support this stuff if there is content that is put out that caters to them.
Yep.
The problem with this genre, which is unique to other pieces of music, is that they don't give a shit about you. They age you out. They stop caring about you once you reach a certain age. And all of these rappers like Drake who identify this say, I don't care about that stuff. I'm just trying to be popping in this industry. So I'm going to continue to make these children's music. Okay. Once that group of people gets older and ages and matures, you have to depend on the next crop of kids to continue to fuel. You're going to run out.
Man.
So my solution to GTJ is y'all need to get rappers over 40 to unionize and come up with a CBA that you can pitch to the music industry somehow to get older rappers to be more active and make more age-appropriate music, to bring back in the legion of people that grew up with this music in the first place, but now feel alienated by it because they don't want to listen to a bunch of rappers talking about how they're gonna, run up on my ops and smash my wife or my girlfriend or my baby mama all day and pop pills all the time. Xannies and Percocets. I don't live like I don't want to hear music about how you're popping the Perkies and the Xannies and you're up all night and you've been faded all day, like,
and you're itching, your skin's itching.
It does not appeal to me. Molly Percocet does not appeal to me. Yes, I'm sounding like an older person. Surprise, I am an older person.
Hello.
Who wrote the rules that this genre has to be obsessed with kids? That's its problem. That's its fatal flaw. So, hey, Juicy J, You want a solution? You want hip hop sales to stop going down 40%? Or like Dogon said, they're going to go down another 40%. And I agree, because they will, because this stuff is only getting worse. You need to call up your bros who are old enough to make age appropriate music. And y'all need to get on your job with this and get on the job with that, because that's the only thing that's going to fix it. Otherwise, it's going to continue to erode.
1,000, bro. 1,000. Hey, the game needs a resurrection and a renaissance. I know somebody's out there that's got the magic ear and they still listen to old head music, bring it back. But
that's the part about it that annoys me. Why does it have to be old head? Why can't it just be music? Like, anybody who is, familiar with rock and roll, if you like John Bon Jovi, do they call you old for that? Like, I'm curious to know if they treat people in other genres the way they treat people in this one. Like, well, if I like listening to older rappers, or if I want to listen to age appropriate music, that means that I'll have to be brandished as old, or that I'm an old head. And I don't know. That's my ignorance. I'm not going to speak to it because I don't know. But I would be curious to learn if that's something that goes on in other genres of music. Like, if I want to listen to David Bowie, does that mean I'm an old head? Or if I want to listen to anybody who's older, does that mean I'm old? Because I do know one thing: those individuals in those genres are relevant in their genres. They're not just cast aside because they've aged themselves out.
Nah, 1,000. I know what you're saying, but I meant more old heads of you're actually sitting and listening to Frankie Beverly and Maze, and you're actually listening to funk, the Parliament and all that stuff. Like, you're listening to old music so you can remember what music sound like, so you can actually make music now. But these people that grew up on this microwave stuff, they're emulating that garbage that we heard in the early 2000s. So they're emulating that, and they're evolving trash, which is just evolved trash. It's literally a mutant stage. So, hey, go listen to that older stuff, that predates all of this other stuff, and, get an idea of what real music sound like. And hopefully there'll be a renaissance of ideas and thoughts and fresh ideas. Wishful thinking, but I know somebody's going to try to break the mold. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm cynical. I don't think there's going to be a renaissance.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
You're right. Yeah. I think that it's just going to continue to get more and more pervasive.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I think. Because you got people like Currency and Big Crit, even Wiz Khalifa. And I'm no Wiz Khalifa fan, but Wiz Khalifa to me is someone who could help stave some of this off. But he's chilling. He ain't trying to be Drake or nothing like this. He makes his music whenever he feels like it, and other than that, he goes about his business. But there's just not enough. There aren't enough Coles and Kendricks, Big Crits, Currency, Wiz Khalifas. There aren't enough of those to offset the rest of the shenanigans. And it's not made any better by the fact that the industry doesn't care enough about the Big Crits to have them at least have a chance to have a bite at the apple. You basically got to find out about a new Big Crit album if you're a hardcore fan. Meanwhile, I don't even like Drake, but he's all over my Spotify.
Jeez Louise.
So what can you do? It's sad, but your optimism will kind of have to speak for the both of us, because I don't see it happening. I think it's gonna die personally. But shouts out to Juicy J, old school hip hop head. I'm with you, bro. Hopefully your other business ventures can offset whatever your losses in hip hop are, because you're gonna need them.
For real.
But on that note, man, this was a good stream. We are going to go ahead and sign off. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. My name is JV Wins. That, of course, is the boy Dogon SS. Thank you for watching. Follow us on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. Follow me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Check out the website, constanceapproach.com. And also, if you happen to be watching this video on the Meta or Facebook page, follow the page, hit that like button. If you enjoy the commentary in this or any other video that you see on this channel, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We certainly appreciate you supporting our brand of logical content. And until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS, not Doggone. God dog it. All right. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon SS. Also on DraftKings at Dogon SS. All right. So as I say on every part, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, y'all, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Don't let anybody get you off your pivot the way Cristobal got the Hurricanes off their pivot when they lost that game.
We still here though. That's what they don't understand. We still here.
Oh boy, what a debacle that was. Holy crap.
Hey, what Pop said on Friday? Hey man, you win some, you lose some, but you live to fight another day. My Cane's gonna come back at y'all, man. Holla at
all right, we'll see. Go Seminoles, still number 5 in the country. We are college playoff bound, baby. Go Heat, go Dolphins. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.